Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing another 2016 inspired glam, but actually this is going to be another recreation. If you do not follow Jordan on all social media platforms, if you like 2016 makeup, she kills it every time. So I saw this look, fell in love with it. I did do a little bit more of a cooler tone version. Hers did use more like warmer browns, but use what you like. So I'm going to be going in with a primer, and for this I'm using my MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. This is just going to give me a nice clean slate to work with. I would say the main star of the show is the Morphe Mix Signals, and these have basically a glitter flake on one end and a cream shadow on the other. So this one is a black and silver, which is why I wanted to do more of a cool toned version of her look. So I'm taking the cream shadow first, putting it on the outer corner. You do want to work quickly with any type of products like this. So I applied it on the outer corner, and I'm just going in with a little bit more of a denser brush to blend that out. Once I feel good about the outer corner, I'm going to do the same thing on the inner corner, apply a little bit, blend it out. I will say the thing with this, for the black cream, you just want to keep this lower down onto the lid area because that's where we want the most intense pigmentation when it comes to the black. Also, I don't think I mentioned, but this one is in the shade Forever Fling. I actually have every single shade of these Morphe Mix Signals, and I could think of so many looks that I could do with this exact technique, but with the other products, I know there's like a brown with like a copper glitter, and that would be so pretty if you don't want to do the like dark smoky look. Just in general, this technique is beautiful and definitely makes the eyes look a little bit more round. Now for the shadows, I don't know if you can get this palette still by itself, but I do know you can still get the full collection. However, the shades that I'm using are very basic shades, but this is a really good, just cool toned palette. It's like grayish brown without being like true gray or true brown. It's like right in the middle. But I'm going to take the shade Shadows back in a fluffy brush, and we're going to start putting that into the crease. So this is going to be what fades from the black to the lightest gray that we're going to use. So you really want to take your time with this. As you can see, I'm opening my eyes and I'm looking at the viewfinder to see where this sets on my eye when my eye is open. You want to do that in general when you do your eyeshadow, because if you're only doing it when you're looking down, it's going to look so different when you look up. And I'm really just doing tiny little like circular motions and tiny little back and forth motions to really blend this out. I will say, if you're going to do this process, you want to use a eyeshadow primer that is not super sticky, because you don't want the shadow to really adhere and struggle out blending. So that's why I use the paint pot versus the typical like About Face one that I normally use. Now for the inner corner, I'm going to do the same process. I'm just using a smaller brush. If you don't want your eyes to feel as closed off, you can skip blending out the inner corner and just kind of lightly diffuse the edges, but I'm doing the same thing and making it super smoky on the inner corner and on the outer corner. If you get too carried away with doing this and you feel like you get too dark on the inner corner, just stay till the end, because I do show you how I clean up these looks without going in with like more concealer or anything like that. And now I'm taking the shade Chilled Frost, and this is really where you can decide if you want to do cool toned or more warm toned. So if I was going to do similar to like her look, this is probably like a MAC Soft Brown type of step, but I wanted to use the more cool tone because I haven't done a cool tone look in a while. But I'm just taking a little bit of a fluffier brush, and you can just see I'm diffusing the edges, and I'm also looking up again into the viewfinder to make sure that I like exactly where this is sitting. I want to take it up high, but I don't want to take it up all the way to the brow bone. If you go in with your lightest shade and you feel like it kind of took away from that mid-tone shade that we used, just go back into it with that same brush and just reapply. It's no big deal. Going back and forth is really how you're going to get the smoothest blend with your eyeshadows. And I'm going to take that same brush and do the same thing on the inner corner. When I do the inner corner, I'm barely dipping my brush into the product because I don't feel like you need as much product on the inner corner, because it's already like a shadowed area and it doesn't need much. Next, you want to take a really good black liner. I am taking the Valentino Beauty. This is stupid expensive, first of all, but this is one of the best black eyeliners that I have ever used. It stays forever in the waterline. It is so black and just amazing. Nothing has compared to this yet. But anyways, you want to put a little bit of that on the lash line and then very, very quickly blend it out, because this is a quick drying, quick setting liner. But this is just going to give you a little bit of that smokiness at the base. But the reason I'm using this for this part of the eyelid versus that cream shadow by Morphe is the cream shadows can sometimes transfer, and if you're like me and your eyes are a little bit more hooded, you want a long wear liner right there at that lash line so it doesn't transfer up into my crease. Now to make it nice and dark and smoky, I'm going to take the shade Vintage Mask with a flat shader brush, And we're just packing this on the lid where you put that black cream shadow. So essentially what the black cream shadow is going to do is just give us a very even base to work with, so the black doesn't appear patchy in any way when we go with the shadow. So I'm using the side of the brush to pack this color on the outer corner, and then I'm using the tip of the brush to run it along that lash line where we applied that Valentino liner, just to again kind of smudge that out. We're gonna do the exact same thing on the inner corner. If you have smaller eyes, you definitely wanna use a smaller brush for this step, but for me, this was fine. I will say that this is not gonna be perfect. You don't want to focus on blending this out with that brush. This is more about packing on the black and just leaving it. If you attempt to blend this out with that same brush, you're gonna have black all the way up to your eyebrow, and it's gonna ruin the entire look. So here's where I'm going back in with that smaller brush and the shade Shadows Back, which was the mid-tone brown. And here I'm just gonna take my sweet old time and I'm going to diffuse these edges. Again, I want to really limit how much black I'm bringing up high. If you feel like you're bringing the black up too high, just wipe your brush off, because obviously the black is going to transfer onto the brush and you're gonna be blending out black. So just wipe it off and then dip back into your brown and blend it out. But again, take your time, go very slow with this. These type of looks are very tedious. And what we do on the outer corner, you guessed it, we do on the inner corner. And now we're gonna go in with really the star of the show, and that is the glitter side of the Morphe product. So this is not necessarily like the Stila glitters or anything like that. This is glitter flakes, which I feel like usually come in a pot. So they are a little bit more sheer. So you can see I'm just tapping, and then I kind of let it dry a little bit, and then I go in with a little bit more. But you wanna take your time building up on this, otherwise it's gonna get a little bit patchy. I will say she had it on the lid, but she also had it up to almost her brow. So I'm just taking very little, using the tip of that brush and just slightly dabbing up to the brow. And as you can see, I'm also doing all of the blending with the applicator of the glitter. I will say with these type of products, if I try and go with my finger to blend out the edges, I'm going to pick up all those glitter flakes onto my finger, and then it's gonna get super patchy, so don't do that. With all of my looks, anytime I do my makeup, I do my eyes first and then I do my concealer after, because if I have fallout, I can easily clean it up. I don't have to worry about being super careful. So I'm just applying my Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Concealer just a little bit underneath my eyes. And then I will go in with a powder as well. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury, it's like the white under eye setting powder thing that they have. Reason for this is because I want the black to be able to blend out in the lower lash line. If I don't set my concealer with this product, then it's going to cling to the wet concealer and the black is going to get very patchy. If it's set, it's going to be nice and smooth and blend beautifully. For the lower lash line, we are doing the exact same steps. So I'm doing a little bit of that black cream shadow. I did also put that Valentino liner in my waterline. I just don't like to show that on camera because I'm getting all up in my eyeball. But I put a little bit of that cream shadow on the outer corner, blended it out. Now I'm doing the inner corner, blending it out. Same thing with this, like I said earlier, if it gets a little messy and blotchy, I will show you how to clean it up at the end. And here you just seen, I use my finger to wipe off some of the center because I want to leave the center blank, and I felt like I had a little bit too much product in the middle of the lower lash line. Also, if you don't want your eyes to appear as closed off, don't put this on the inner corner of the lower lash line. Again, I was just kind of following her look, and that's what I would do, but it does definitely make your eyes look closed off. So with the lower lash line, I'm taking that Shadows Back shade and just blending out the edges. Again, I'm not being too careful with this. You just want to add a little bit of that cool tone brown to the lower lash line. And now with a tiny shader brush, I'm gonna take that black shade and just apply that right over top the cream shadow. When you're doing this, you wanna make sure that you get as close to the lash line as possible. You don't wanna see any skin tone color in between your lashes. So I get like right up close to my mirror. I even like pull my eyelid down and just make sure that that is fully saturated, because you want it to be as dark and smoky as possible at the lash line. So here is one of my favorite steps for cleaning up any sort of eyeshadow look. So take a powder foundation. This is the MAC Studio Fix powder in NC20, and a flat shader brush, and I'm just going along that shadow. You can see it's cleaning it up, but it's not gonna give me that super harsh line if I went in with like a makeup wipe or even using concealer. I'm also using it to really brighten the inner corner. If you find that you brought the black too high on the inner corner, you can just use the brush to diffuse it out. But this step is amazing, not even just for dark looks, but really for any look in general. Now we're gonna do the glitter on the lower lash line. So I first used the tip of the brush, but as you can see, it really wasn't depositing any color. So I switched to the side of the brush. You just wanna be a little bit more careful, because obviously that will take it a little bit lower because it's thicker. I will say her glitter liner on the bottom was almost like a V shape, kind of like a tear, just like really the lid was. I did also do about 2 layers. So I did the one eye, went into the other eye, came back to that. Here's how it looks with no mascara and lashes. And here's how it looks with lashes and mascara. So I hope you guys like it. Let me know what look you want to see next, and I will see you in my next video.